U amali kanong po ba meral bon siem hak si kabala jong kador basan rawi labu jingkli yak sarkar ha kabai dei bagi kendon shwa ban a jingbet ban ti mar po khndo ha kajala lani ka environment impact assessment. Henry hapu jubab halor kanie u menteri ketenat u James K sangma ulai thu bak sarkar jala kala dap man pha yak jing a jingmun syak sor pedeng halor kate ke benta.
Mr. Speaker, sir, reply to start question 28. Sir, the status of the implementation of the Environment Impact Assessment 2006 notification in the form of grant of environmental clearance are as follows. Environmental clearance granted offline by State Environment Impact Assessment Authority 39. Environmental clearance granted online by SEA 26, and the environmental clearance granted by the District Environment Impact Assessment Authority DEIAA offline 95. So bringing the total to 160. So under examination, the State Environment Impact Assessment Authority and the State Expert Appraisal Committee, the SEAC, is 36 numbers, sir.
Honorable Speaker, sir. We understand the impact of the environment on various issues related with development, factories, or any other developmental activities taken up in the state, where our state have been witness in the past many flaws in granting permission for the industries of mining, which have directly or indirect impact on our environment, in which we all have suffered till now. So we, as a society, we have been witness a global warming, and at the same time we have been witness so many flaws by factories or by mining in different parts of the state, not only in our state, even in the country. This is a huge issue that has been taken up by environmentalists, by activists, how to stop all these issues which greatly impact the environment. So I would like to know from the Honorable Minister that despite of many procedure that has been followed by the state government, the society have paid huge environmental price in the name of development, modernization. I'm not saying that we should not do development, we have to, but we have witnessed so many issues that hamper the society as a whole. I would like to know from the Honorable Minister, out of this 160 environmental clearances that has been issued by the State Environment Impact Assessment Authority, as well as the District Environment Impact Assessment Authority, it is from which year to which year this 160 clearances has been issued?
Mr. Speaker, sir, the 160 that I have just mentioned in the course of my reply, sir, this is from the year with effect from 2008 to 2020, sir.
I would like to know from the Honorable Minister very specifically that how the District Environmental Impact Assessment Authority are well equipped with members and experts in it to deal how to issue clearances. At the same time, what kind of project that they will take up at their own level, at the district level, and what kind of project that they will refer to the State Social Impact Assessment Authority.
Sir, there is a, I'm just trying to locate the particular notification, sir. In terms of, sir, the competence of any authority, well, I would like to say that, yes, sir, there is a reason why those that authority was formed and the reason why certain officers were heading that committee, sir, that authority, sir. But there is one notification, sir, which I would like to bring to the notice of the to the August House, sir, just to let you know about the present status of the district. So it was basically for projects which were, below below 5 hectares in terms of the size of the projects, sir. And this is now been suspended by the government, sir, by the ministry. I was just trying to locate the notification. I don't seem to be able to find it, but it's been suspended as of now, sir.
Sir, I want a specific answer, not about the size in hectare. I want what kind of project. That is very specific. What kind of project that you will refer to the state? We just want to know on that. And the status of the district level authority, how equipped they are to deal in issuing environmental clearances.
Sir, I said now, since it's under suspension, sir, so there is, it is not in operation, sir. So I think it's not relevant to reply to that, sir.
So am I made to understand that for time being, I understand, since the central government also, this impact assessment, it is there in the public platform. But I'm talking about in the past, clearances that has been issued, that has been showed here also, issued by the state level and the district level. That is what I want to know.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah. What kind of project that you will take up at this district level and what kind of project you will refer it to the state level for assessment?
Sir, in the past, the practice was basically that any projects below 5 hectares was referred to the district environmental impact assessment authority, sir. And this is for minor minerals, by the way. So this was what was done in the past, sir. But now, Government of India has suspended the district committee, sir.
Sir, still it is not clear, because that is in terms of the size of the land. I'm not concerned about the size of the land, I'm concerned about what kind of project.
Oh, okay.
That is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Projects would be, sir, any kind of projects involved in minor minerals, sir. So that would be below 5 hectares. And these could be, sir, like mining of boulders and sand and stones, things like that, sir, basically.
Sir, environmental impact assessment is a process under Environmental Protection Act 1986, which prevent industrial and infrastructural projects from being approved without proper oversight before obtaining environmental clearance, which include mining of coal or other minerals, infrastructure, developmental, thermal, nuclear, hydropower project. Well, sir, the point of contention now is the draft environmental impact assessment, which have been recently put in public domain by the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Government of India. It is in circulation so that we can put a feedback on public domain at the same time from the government. We have seen that this draft environment impact assessment is post facto clearance, and it is less public participation with affected communities. It is an attempt to weaken environmental regulation and silence affected communities. The draft seems to be in favor of industries and seem to be largely neglecting the balance between sustainable development and environmental protection, where project can be taken without getting environmental clearance under the provision of the new draft of EIA 2020. This is just a profit for the corporate house sector, which is anti-people and it is anti-environment. So, I would like to know from the Honorable Minister that even though the draft, what is the stand of the government? This has to be very clear because it has direct or indirect impact on the environment on future, even though it is under suspension. But now we would like to know from the Honorable Minister what is the stand of the government with regard to the draft of the Environmental Impact Assessment 2020, especially our state, which have a huge uranium ore. So we would like to know the status of the government on this.
So, the draft environmental impact assessment, sir, that is a matter which is pending with the Government of India right now, sir. And as the views of the government of Meghalaya was sought, sir, we have also, sir, in accordance with that, submitted our views about the draft and environmental impact assessment. Sir, would the honorable member like to know about it? Shall I read it out?
Yeah.
Okay, sir. So the comments which were sent to Government of India, sir, from our state government, sir, are that number one, with regards to public consultation, sir, the draft EIA notification 2020 provides for a period of 40 days only for public consultation as against a period of 45 days provided in the earlier notification, sir. Therefore, the earlier period of 45 days may need to be restored. That was the comment sent to Government of India. Similarly, the notice period of 30 days provided to the public in the Environmental Impact Assessment Notification 2016 could also be restored in the EIA Notification 2020, sir. Number two, validity of prior environmental clearance as per the Section 8 of the Mines and Mineral Development and Regulation Act 1957. The maximum period for which mining lease granted shall not exceed 30 years and which may be renewed for further period not exceeding 20 years. Therefore, proposed validity of environmental clearance for mining projects to a maximum of 50 years or up to a period of validity of mining lease in sync with the MMDR Act 1957, sir. Number three, sir, appraisal and EMP report for mining projects of 2 to 5 hectares. The draft EIA notification provides that mining projects with mining lease area of more than 2 hectares and up to 5 hectares shall be referred to district level expert appraisal committee. Whereas in the EIA notification 2006, EIA and EMP was exempted for 0 to 5 hectares of minor mineral projects. Exemption of the EIA, EMP for minor mineral projects up to 5 hectares may be restored in the EIA notification 2020. And number 4 is regarding the general conditions, sir. In respect of the protected areas, it has been prescribed that the general conditions would apply if the project activity is located within 10 kilometers from the boundary of the protected areas in respect of items, item numbers 3, 5, 32, 33 of the schedule, and within 5 kilometers in respect of other items. Meghalaya is rich in diverse flora and fauna, and the state government, with an intent to preserve its rich flora and wild fauna, has notified so far as 70.
Sir, excuse me. Sir, I just, so it will take time. We have so many questions also to come. That response may be laid at the table of the House. I just want a very specific response on this issue, the stand of the government, very specific on that point about the post facto clearance. What is the stand of the state government on that? The views given or feedback given to the central government, only on that specific point.
Sir, these are the comments, sir, which have been sent to Government of India, sir, MOEF. And the point mentioned by the honorable member, sir, does not find mention in this, sir. So that is the, we don't have a mention of this.
It is very much there, sir, which is a huge concern for the state and for the country. That's why I'm raising this, because of this point is there, which says that post facto clearance, which means all projects they can go ahead and they can take clearances later on. That is a huge concern. That's why we want to know the stand of the government. That is very specific. So we just want to know the stand of the government on that.
Sir, the provisions of post facto clearance, sir, was prevalent since 2017, sir. Honorable member must be knowing. And in respect of the post facto clearance, the state government, sir, has left it to this matter to the central government, sir, to take a call on this.
All right. Yeah, it's clear. So we want to, as I have said before, that this is a huge concern, because we have seen central government has been pushing certain legislation, certain act by bulldozing. We have seen CAA, the way the central government has bring CAA in our country. And directly or indirectly, it has certain impact in our society. In days to come, especially our state it has uranium ore within it, in which the central government has been looking for so long. We know these are activities that has to be carried out, but still I want to get an assurance from the Honorable Minister that the government, it will uphold the right of public participation in the state in all the projects that will be taken up, with special respect to uranium mining in the state. I want an assurance on that from the government.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I think the House must understand that when we have projects, there are multiple clearances you require. So it's not that if somebody gets an environment clearance, you just simply start putting up the project. There are land issues, there are mining issues, there are mining safety issues. All of that have to be adhered to. And in our state, we have Land Transfer Act. We have the district councils. So therefore, when it comes to the aspect of environment, that's one part. So it does not mean it can bypass the other aspects. So obviously, when it comes to issues related to our land, there are laws to protect our land. There are district council laws that are there. Every department has got its own procedures. So therefore, I just want to make it clear, sir, that the environment assessment and the permission that is given is just one part of the entire process of getting a project through. So therefore, even if the aspect of anyways, I'll just answer very quickly, because I think they may not want to listen to the whole thing. But the point is that obviously, sir, we will be here to protect the interest of our people and our state, sir. That is for sure, sir. Thank you.
So may I inquire from the Honourable Minister of Forest and Environment, prior to the submission of the state views, were there any consultations conducted with important environmentalists in the state and with civil society in general?
So as far as my knowledge goes, sir, yes, sir. I mean, there are many letters we have received from the NGOs, sir, and these letters have expressed their concerns and their views and suggestions, sir. So these, yeah, and we have also forwarded these letters to the Government of India, sir.
Honourable Speaker, sir, may I request the Honourable Minister, Forest and Environment, to please have a consultative program with all parties, over and above just receiving of letters, because when we sit across the table, we will be able to come up with a far more comprehensive advisory to the Government of India. And already this draft bill is likely to be passed in a very short period of time, because we have so many issues that have been left out in the draft notification of the EIA. For example, sir, I'll just give you one very glaring example. Several red and orange industries have been moved from category A to category B1 or B2, which have lesser EIA processing, and B2 industries don't need public consultation for EAC reports. So these are the big issues that are going to impact us in the long run. May I request the Minister in charge of Forest and Environment to kindly immediately call for an all-party meeting on the matter and also have consultative programs with various stakeholders of the community.
All right. Mr. Speaker, sir, the process of consultation, sir, is over now, sir. The ball is in the court of the Government of India, the Ministry of Environment and Forest right now, sir.
Mr. Speaker, sir, to take part in this Staff Question 28. It's a very interesting subject. It is a subject which deals with life and death of the people of the present generation and especially for the future generation. Land is like life, only once. We may taste, we may experience. What I would like to get a clarification from the Honorable Minister or Honorable Chief Minister. What is the mind of the government in regard with this environment impact assessment? We cannot just live with the present with the government of India. We cannot let in every matter, in every subject, to be dictated. I just want to get a clear picture. Whether the government of the day had take consultation with the existing ADC as a constitutional body.
Sir, there are very clear statutory norms that are laid out, sir. And as a government, sir, we have to follow all those norms, and we cannot digress from any of those, sir, to answer the question of the honorable member, sir.